This is the Boomstick. It retails about $330 USD right now and is considered the most expensive paddle on the market. This is the Boomstick from China. It's a knockoff paddle for $40 USD. Is it better than the Boomstick? Hell no, God no, it's not even close. But is it better than any paddle that's about $100 on the market right now? Well, that's what we're going to test today. We asked 20 people at the club to try out the difference between the real Boomstick and the knockoff Boomstick to see what the difference is between the two. And before we dive into those results, we want to show you the difference between each of these paddles. The knockoff doesn't have the Selkirk logo. You can see right there. The core is surprisingly similar. It is actually a floating core, so it feels legitimately like a real Boomstick's floating core. And that's where the similarities stop. To make this easier, let's call the knockoff Boomstick the Boopstick. The Boopstick has smaller weights. They're kind of decorative. The vendor told me they improved the paddle to make it legal, even though it's definitely not legal because it's a knockoff. They claim the weights are permanent, not semi-permanent, which, to be honest, Selkirk should have marketed that in the first place to not have that issue of their paddles being banned by pro players. Now, the face. The Boomstick has real grit. The spray on, you can feel it. You can feel the texture. It just feels gritty. The Boopstick, it's a smooth carbon fiber with a sticker on top. So yeah, it's not even close to a Boomstick. It feels more like those Prince or Wilson paddles you buy at Dick's or Sports Check. The handle's also thicker, which sent me down a rabbit hole. Apparently, these companies just grab whatever mold they can find of their manufacturers and then put them together. So you can end up with a Selkirk paddle shaped like a Joola Agassi. It's crazy. It's like a total Frankenstein paddle, but a fun dive nonetheless if you want to see some crazy hybrid paddles in the knockoff market. So now we start testing these paddles against each other on 5 important criteria: the serve, the drives, the control, the spin, and the hand battles. For serves, the Boomstick has the flowing core. It gives you the cushion, the power, and the grit to add spin and control. It's less powerful than other power paddles in the market, but makes up for the control. The Boopstick, on the other hand, you can feel the core, but with less grit means less power, so you have to put a little bit more extra into that, but you have a bit of control, which is nice. The drives, on the other hand, the Boomstick, just like the serves, control, strong, comfortable, gives smooth accuracy, but again, just a little bit less power than the ones that I'm used to with the power paddles. The Boopstick, on the other hand, without the grit and using a bit different material on the core, you have to swing harder, which lowers the accuracy. For control, the Boomstick on my first try, it felt great with the drops. The dings do bounce off a bit hot, but for a power paddle, it's probably easier to control on your first try. As for the Boopstick, surprisingly, it's solid because of the flowing core. It absorbs hits pretty well, and you have good control of what you're doing. The Boomstick, the grit is strong. It helps with both topspin and slicing. My only complaint is durability. The surface scratches easily, so the Infinigrit may not actually be infinite. You'll have little chips here and there, but still, even after 1 month with the little chips here and there, it's still a gritty paddle and still feels consistent. The Boopstick, on the other hand, is a sticker that ruins this paddle. You're not spinning anything off that sticker, and right on top of the carbon fiber, they should have made a pure carbon fiber paddle without the logo, but still, it's better than any Amazon paddle you could buy. For hand battles, the Boomstick, manageable, but it does have prone to miss hits when you do hand battles. As for the Boopstick, because it's less grit, it's kind of hard to do hand battles because it kind of slips off a bit. Overall, the final scores, the Boomstick is a 4.5 out of 5. I can say, ignoring the quality control of each paddle, it's a top tier paddle. The Boopstick, on the other hand, is a 3.5. While it's not close to a Boomstick, it's still better than any one you can get in Canadian Tire or Dick's in the US for around $100. Plus, honestly, I enjoyed playing with it while testing. If we didn't try the Boomstick, we would have thought this paddle would be worth way over $100 due to the ease of use. Now, as I said before, the quality and longevity are key for paddles because that's what the worth is, how long paddles should last to your bang for your buck. So here's my little scale over here. If a paddle is worth $50, it should last you a month. If a paddle is about $100, it should last you over 3 months. If a paddle is worth over $150, it should last you longer than 6 months. And if a paddle is worth over $200, it should last you over a year. Plus, it has a competitive advantage over the other paddles, which you can't get with the lower ones because of how it's built, your power, control, spin. Now you may think, 3 months for a paddle for $100, that seems like not worth the money. But when you think about it, most of these paddles do wear out within 3 to 6 months, depending how competitive you are and how often you play. As a result, a lot of companies are switching over from polymer to more foam-based, so the paddle can have a longer life. And that's the ones that you want to keep an eye to invest in toward. Paddles just like Joola 4, the core crushes so much so often, but they're the best paddle in the market. Why? Because the pros play, it has a competitive advantage, but the competitive advantage makes the longevity of the paddle to die in the core crush within the months to even just a month. And that's where I can't recommend paddles like that, because I don't want to spend $300 every single week. I'm not a pro player. I don't get free paddles every single day. An everyday consumer, you need a paddle that will last as long as you want to play with that paddle. The issue with the Boomstick right now is one, the edge guards. Because of how the moss system is, it's slowly trying to tear the edge apart, which damages, and is the most common issue right now with these paddles. The other part is the Infinigrit. Well, the Infinigrit should be, well, longer to last. Within a month of playing with this demo paddle, you can see little scratches here on this paddle. While the scratches do not affect the spin right now, it can add up over time, because I think the Infinigrit becomes chipping effect, because it's kind of like paint substance. So it slowly chips to, you'll see more marks on it. So that's the other issue. And lastly is the fact that a flowing core, while design is great and feels good, it's two separate materials from the handle. And while Pickleball Medicine have referenced that the handles should be strong, there are reports online where people are saying the handle and the core are breaking at the neck point because of the friction of two separate paddles area. Take that with a grain of salt, but that's why it's kind of hard to recommend a paddle that's so expensive, but is lacking the quality and trust that you can have that the paddle will last you that long. This is like a BMW. You buy a BMW and after 10 kilometers, the door falls off. A car's door should not fall off. Same with the edge guard on this paddle. It shouldn't fall off within 3 months or less than that. So that's why it's kind of hard to recommend this paddle, even though it's good. The quality just wasn't there when it was being built. So companies such as Diadem, Carbon, Honolulu, 60, yes, even Selkirk's, all the other paddles. That's why it's difficult to recommend this paddle compared to all the other brands that are trying to innovate to give you the value that's worth. Now, while the Boomstick is kind of hard to recommend, but still is one of the best paddles in the market, the Boopstick for like 10% of the price, maybe a little bit more than 10% of the price. If I didn't try the Boomstick first, I would have thought this paddle was worth about $100. The flowing core alone is worth it because it has a dynamic feel that most paddles around the $100 range do not have. This by far is worth the price for what the paddle does. It excels more than what the value of you're paying for. Now I want to talk about why knockoffs are a bit important in the pickleball market. And it's simply because of accessibility. People who are buying paddles for the first time, when they go into these stores, Dick's or Sports Check, they just look around, they're like, oh, I'm gonna pick this one because it's pretty. I'm gonna pick this one because it looks like a cool brand. And at the end of the day, they don't love the feel. They spent over $100 on a paddle that they don't love when they could have invested a little bit more in paddle that will perform better or match their play style. I'll give you an example right now is when I started playing pickleball, I went on Amazon. I buy 4 paddles for $40. I got the paddles, I tried it out. These paddles are awful. I regret spending $40. So then I buy the 2 bundle paddle from Costco for the Selkirk paddles. They felt nice, they had grit. And then I kept losing every game because they're so skinny. They just didn't feel like I was playing pickleball, I can control anything. So then I upgraded to a Power Air, and that paddle was great until I realized I can control everything. Everything was just hard hitting. And at the end of the day, I just spent over $300 on paddles I didn't like. So knockoff paddles give you the chance to play with a real paddle, the frame, the size, the feel, while paying the real price tag. While it doesn't have the same pop, doesn't have the same grit, it gives you the same feel that it makes you want to say, I want to upgrade. So example, this one's from TEMU, the Agassi paddle. This is about $25. Doesn't play the same as the real Agassi by far, but it's a good start for people to try out pickleball, and it's cheaper than the introduction paddles you get on Amazon or any other sports store. And also, if you ever go to the park, you see those aluminum pickleball paddles, please, those are not legal to play in tournaments in the first place. People should not be able to buy them because they're just not real pickleball paddles. Like, go buy the knockoff paddles. They're cheaper and they play better than those aluminum ones. Just stop buying those aluminum ones. Now, be careful when you buy secondhand paddles because of knockoffs, because they look so similar to the real ones. Be careful of the secondary market where people might be trying to sell them. Try out the paddle first, see if you like it, but even then, I will recommend try to buy a newer paddle because you know no one broke the core, you know no one did anything to the paddle as an issue. It's recommended, especially for a premium price tag, The value is to know that you trust the paddle because you know it's clean and has warranty. Now let's talk about the difference between TEMU, Aliexpress, and Alibaba, because I'm pretty sure everyone's trying to figure that out. TEMU is the leftover discount store for inventory of Aliexpress and Alibaba. If they couldn't sell it, they just tried to get them out of stock. This is the easier e-commerce platform. It can be cheaper, but there's limited to how many supplies there are. And lastly, the quality is actually a lot worse than the ones I purchased on Aliexpress and Alibaba. Aliexpress, on the other hand, is the direct-to-consumer website. You can buy directly, you can buy 1 or 2 paddles, it goes straight to you, but it's a little bit more pricey because it ships faster and you only have to buy single quantities. Alibaba, on the other hand, encourages more bulk sale and it's cheaper, but ships longer because it's more of a warehouse. It does crates to ship instead. So basically, you want it sooner, it's TEMU or AliExpress. You want cheaper, it's Alibaba. The knockoffs are not forever pals. I want to emphasize this. There are good pals on the market. These are your starting points of you to discover what kind of player you want. So yeah, that's why it's important that knockoffs help people understand the value of what a good pal is. Because once you try a knockoff, you know you're missing the power, you're missing the grit, you're missing different shapes, sizes. It makes you feel like a better player because it gives you the next level. So yeah, overall, do I recommend knockoff paddles like the Boopstick, the Agassi knockoff? Yeah, I will say, especially to introduce players to the pickleball game, to get you to try before you get more competitive, these paddles are pretty good for you to start introducing yourself to the pickleball game. But once you get competitive, okay, you need real paddles because you're not allowed to use these in tournaments. But by then, you're already a high enough level where you know what you want and you can invest in a paddle that really fits what you want to do. And if you can't afford the time, you can always demo paddles. But this is where you start with something, you can start demoing other paddles that are about the same realm, and then you invest in the paddle you really love. That's the nature of pickleball that makes it such a great game. Especially these paddles, you can't get thicker paddles this price. And pickleball should be about control, should be about how your positioning is. With a thinner paddle, you don't have that ability, which is why I don't like the cheaper paddles on the market. Yeah, overall, thanks for watching. I hope you appreciate watching this video of knockoff versus the $330 Boomstick. I guess overall, my final thoughts is I think the Boomstick is overpriced for what it has for the quality. So while a good paddle, I wouldn't fully recommend it. The Boopstick, I will recommend, but not for competitive play, but it's fun for you to learn and try pickleball. If you like watching this video, I hope to see you guys next time because we'll keep looking at other paddles to see what's a good fit for you. All right.